Go.
Hey guys, we're back again, and I have a familiar victim here, and it's this young man. It is amazing. I've used him before. It is amazing how fast his hair grows. The last time we did a bit of a taper on him, left it a little bit longer. Today he's agreed, he wants it faded up, so we're going to be using a 1.5 guard on it. So it's going to be almost skin, which he's okay with, and I'm glad that he's letting us do this because I want you to see, you're definitely going to see the direction of hair growth. You're going to see so many things that maybe at times are left out, not done when they should be done. Polishing the cut is so important. So I'm going to start this up. I'm going to start him off the back occipital. I'm going to tilt his head forward. We're just going to take it up to the lower ridge. You can see that we're slightly above the parietal line here. So we're just taking him up to the lower ridge. Where's the lower ridge? Where the comb leaves the head, and it's right there, all the way around up onto the flat part of the head. So I'm using my Oscar clipper, and I love this thing. See, if I didn't know where the lower ridge was, I wouldn't know where to pull away. I would just keep going up, not thinking about what I'm doing. So we're taking him pretty tight, and we are going to leave the top a little bit longer, but what you're going to see, now sometimes if you just hold the comb down and go up into it, and what I love again about my Oscar clipper with those guards, man, it just takes it off. It's not biting me, it's not doing anything. You got to keep your guard sharp, though, too. All right? So you see me coming up, and I'm not going above the lower ridge. Staying right on it. If I have to cut across it, I will. But this is what I want you to see. You notice that hair growth coming in this direction. So you have to go against it. If I kept going straight up, it wouldn't do the same thing. But by coming up to the lower ridge, we're also right there creating a slight fade into it, which makes it nice, or a nice blend into it, let's say. So still pretty tight. I'm going to take my comb, take it off right there. This thing is not struggling at all. It's just taking it off real nice. So I'm going to come over here to the other side, tilt his head forward again. I love his deep, dark, he's got definitely dark black hair. And that's so uncommon to find in people. He's got nice, good, coarse hair. Again, up to the lower ridge. Up to the lower ridge. And then it's just a gentle carve out. It's not a carving out, it's just a gentle, I'm up and just a gentle carve out. In other words, just a gentle bending of the wrist to take it and blend it up only to the lower ridge. Now, because I know where the lower ridge is at, you notice I'm not having to measure. We're right there. That's the lower ridge, that's the lower ridge. If you know where it's at, again, where's my statement? If you know where you're at, you know where you're going. So I'm going to pick them up right here. There we go. Clean that up. All along the lower ridge. And he said almost skin. Now here, you can see the direction of hair growth. This is what I want you to pay attention to on this. When you do the really short hair, he grows in this direction here. At the center nape, he grows again in this direction. And then as he comes into the nape on this side, now see the nape on this side grows circular like the letter C. Nape on this side grows circular like the letter C going backwards. So what I need to do here is I need to go against the growth to pick that up. If I keep going towards the growth, it won't clean that up. And then we'll decide later on. He's got a beautiful line right here that could almost be made into a V or a W. That looks kind of cool with the haircuts and so on. So I'm going to take him, I'm going to turn him around. And remember, you shift your head, not your body. All right, so I'm going to do it along the flat part of the head, again to the lower ridge. You see, I'm going to carve out gently. And this is where you have to be careful, because this hair grows from this area up to the lower ridge. In other words, from the temporal area up to the lower ridge. This is all considered the flat part of the head. This area grows from the nape all the way up, so you have more hair to cut off. This doesn't. So now as I get over here behind the ear, I'm going to carve around again, not going above the lower ridge. Turn that up right there. And I have seen many times, okay, I'm going to tilt that ear forward to get that little section right here. I have seen many times when you see a haircut, see if you know where the lower ridge is at. We're right here. I had to move it the other way. I'm sorry, that's in his face. Let me get a clip, get that out of his face. There you go. Let's get that out of his face right there so it doesn't drive him too crazy. All right, so if we know where the lower ridge is at, you see that right there. It's all even, it's there. I have less distance on the flat part of the head because the hair grows right there. So I'm going to clean this up right at the perimeter line here. And I'm going to take my comb now and shape it in. See the comb? Now I'm carving the comb to shape it in. The comb is in a flat position and I'm carving it in to take that hair off. And I'm going to move it here forward, and a little bit later I'm going to clean that up just a little better. Now, you see this weight line here, it's kind of like a bubble. Okay, I'm going to take this up to the parietal line. I'm holding now the comb flat to the head. It's not curved anymore. And you'll see that smooth down a bit. I'm going to take it again to the parietal line back here. Still have that weightiness at the lower ridge. But if you don't know where the parietal line is, which is right there, how am I going to know to take it there? And that cleans that up, and as you can see, smooths it down. I'm going to take them, clean them up just a little bit more right here. Again, this is where you know how do I carve my comb to get that. How do I turn my comb? What do I want to get rid of? I've got a slight corner, and I know you probably can't see it because his hair is so dark right there. I'm going to take off the other side, lean his head over, start at the temporal area, come up to the lower ridge. You notice I'm not measuring. I'm not measuring the other side because I know where the lower ridge is at. And I'll show you before I finish with him here. All right, now I'm going to take that up to the parietal line. Just kind of soften that a bit so it hugs that head form to the corner. Short, short, long. And I have the cameraman. Now, this is what I want you to see. You see the direction of hair growth here. You always have one side that grows forward, one side that grows back. Now I've got a little area right here, a corner, and that's part of you shifting his head to know how to take it off. See, I'm holding the clipper at an angle because if I hold the clipper flat, I might cut a little higher. But see, that hair is being cut again, following that line at the lower ridge. Now this is what I want to show you. I'm going to turn him around this way, and I want you to see that our line for the lower ridge is there where we want it. Remember, this side grows forward, this side grows back, it lays further back. There's a lower ridge. I'm going to drive the comb over. There's the lower ridge. So we're even on both sides as far as the lower ridge. Because this grows a little bit forward, it's going to look a little fuller. So I'm going to use the texture shear in a little bit, but basically he's even on both sides. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to discuss with him. He said he wanted the top left long. How long are you wanting the top?
Maybe to right here.
Okay, how about here? What are we talking about on the forehead area? How do you want it to lay on your forehead? Do you still want that corner there like we did the last time?
Somewhere near right.
Okay, so right at your eyebrow.
Yeah, right.
So it's not falling into your face.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do right now, because we want this, when he's wearing his hair in a natural state, you see how it falls slightly below that line. He's got a couple corners there, so it's falling below that line. So below, in other words, a lower ridge. I want to show you that that hair, when I pull it down, is going to end up at the tip of the ear, and the lower ridge is right there. So I'm going to do some scissor over comb to get rid of that. Could I do it with a clipper? Yeah, I could do it with a clipper. My choice at this point is scissor over comb. As soon as I find the correct shear that I want, is that it? Nope, that's a texture shear. Hang on. Here you go. I'll just use this one. And again, I'm going to shift his head over. I'm going to let my shear help me. See, there's the lower ridge. I'm going to let my shear help me. And we've taken it right to the lower ridge. Now I want to lighten that up a bit. You notice that hard line that's created. And because he wants it, wants to get rid of this corner again, bring it forward, and there's that long piece right there. Another long piece. Now watch how I'm carving my comb in. Go down to the scalp, carve the comb in, and bring it out. Now we're going to be getting rid of that hard line in just a minute. I'm going to turn his head over, and that's part of you listening to your client. You know, they're going to have to wear this. So you want them to wear it with pride, not with sad. All right? So we want to make sure that he's comfortable with this cut and he doesn't mind what it looks like. Okay, so I'm pulling it out. I just saw my guide drop right there, but because I know where the lower ridge is at, we're right on it. But is it looking slightly like a bowl cut? Yes, it is. That's how the lower ridge blends in what would be considered a bowl cut. So I'm going to take it right now. I'm going to bring it over. I'm not going to take that off yet. So you see that weightiness there. All right, so what I'm going to do now with my texture shear, and the texture shear is not used, here's the shear that I was looking for. The texture shear is not used enough in a salon. I want to do that first before I take length off. I want to get rid of some hair. So I'm going to take this vertically, go underneath it about an inch away from the scalp. I want this hair to travel back, so what direction are my texture shears? They're going back. All right, so I want to get rid of that corner, and he's got enough hair. I usually say for 36 people, but he's got more hair than that. And we are going to be taking care of the top in a little bit, and I'm going to take it up to the upper ridge to take care of the top. Now you also notice I'm cutting this dry. At this point, I want to see, if I wet it, I can't see the natural fall. So even as thick as his hair is, and you see how it looks a little bit like a bowl cut up on top, but what I want to do now is I'm creating direction before I take the length off. I want you to see what happened with doing that. Look at that hair choose to comb back now. I took that texture shear and directed it back. Now I haven't done it on the other side, so what you're going to see, I know this hair on this side grows forward, we know that, but what you're going to see is it's not going to want to go back. Now watch what happens after I use the texture shear with the teeth going back. It will do the same thing. Take it off. So the texture shear is amazing on what it does, but knowing how to use it and use it to polish a cut. See, it's going back now without me even doing anything with it. and it wouldn't do that a minute ago, before I used the texture shear. So doing that, the comb directs it. It does cut it. If we're going to micro stuff, it does cut it into a slight angle. So that angle, what is it? Shorter moves longer. We know that. All right, so we're going to take him up now to the upper ridge with the shear. And in a little bit, I'm going to take it. Now the upper ridge is where? That curve right there. The apex is here. There's your frontal area. Parietal line is there. And the upper ridge is right within this area. So I'm going to take it only to the upper ridge. See, the angle is at the upper ridge. You're going to start seeing this fall just a little nicer. There's your upper ridge line. Now the concern here is going to be his cowlick in the back, which tends to be a concern on any head. Doesn't matter what it is. All right, I'm going to take him over to the other side. Again, take it up to the upper ridge. That's why I strongly advise you to know where you're at on the head form. You'll see a hard line right there. Yeah, we're creating a corner, and we're going to be getting rid of that corner in just a minute. Okay, the upper ridge. So we're not guessing here. We know where we're at. We know where we're going. Okay, I'm going to tilt his head forward. Again, upper ridge, upper ridge. You see that now we're just going to blend.
How much longer is it going to go?
How much time do I have?
Well, it's not the time, it's the battery.
Oh, it's the battery? Okay, I've got a little bit more to go on him. So what I wanted to show you was this, and we forgot about our battery being a little bit short. So can we cut off and put the other battery in, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, let him, we're gonna cut off for a minute. He's gonna put the other battery in, and then I'll be right back.
Go.
Okay, so you guys didn't even notice the time lapse, but I did change my guard now while he was changing the battery to a 0, and I got my clipper comb out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not going to go above the parietal line with this. So knowing again where you're at is essential. And I'm going to be holding the comb flat around the head. Following, staying within, the bottom of the comb is at the lower ridge. This center part of the comb is going to be at the parietal line. And I'm going to carve the hair out, bring it in, and I'm going to take it off with now. This is a 000. So this is part of using your tools. Now I'm no longer going to come onto the scalp with it. I'm away from the scalp, but it's the way that I hold my comb that's going to create this cut. So again, like I've shared with you guys, we're not fancy. We're just here to teach you. Now see, all those little hairs are coming out, and always make sure your clipper stays on the blade, that it doesn't go above that. So I'm taking this, and what I'm doing as I come up, I'm not going in, I'm just coming straight up to create a real nice blend in there. You see that hard line, and we're going to get rid of that in just a few minutes. But there's also that very, very nice blend coming in. And sometimes I may take it, but see, the comb is held straight up. The comb is my fingers right now. And you see that nice fade, nice clean cut coming in? And again, this is a completely dry cut. Tilt his head forward, not going above that, holding it at the lower ridge, but I'm not going above the parietal line. I know it's hard for you to see that, so I'm going to turn him around this way. Tilt his head forward again. You see that little bit longer spot there? That's my guide. And just look at it. Don't cut to cut. Look at what you're doing. And always cut, comb, cut, comb. Let the tool do it for you. I think I got your feet caught on that. Do I? No, it's just a chair. Okay, I see it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna turn him around this way so you can see what I'm doing. Shift his head. I'm still, this part of the comb is at the lower ridge, but I'm cutting it at the very center of the comb. And the comb, again, is being held straight up. Now I have a little bit of a hard line there, so I'm gonna take it diagonally to get rid of it. There you go. And that's polishing the cut. I wish, maybe I should have done that for you to see it. But he's got just a little bit of a, he had a hard line right there. And taking it diagonally, got rid of it. Again. And that, by the way, that's how you get rid of it. Those hard lines like that. When you see them, you come in diagonally to take care of it. Or that weightiness. And you'll see that coming in. Now, okay, we're up here. So I'm going to take that corner off. And again, look at the hair when it comes out. Your guide is the hair underneath that lower ridge. So this is part of carving into it. This is part of combing into it. And then the direction of hair growth also is going to determine how that hair is going to lay. And you notice I cut, comb, cut, comb. I don't just cut. Always cut, comb it down, cut, comb it down. And I see some little spots here to just clean up. And now we've got it here, right at, and if I comb this down, this hair grows forward, so it looks like it's a little higher, but it's not. Both of them are at the exact same spot, right at that parietal line. So those are things that you watch out for. You see this little bit of a hard line right here. There's a hard line, there's a hard line underneath. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you go into it diagonally. This hair really has a strong forward growth right here. So what I'm going to do, he wants that a little bit longer, but I'm just getting rid of that. Now he's got just a little bit of length right here, right at the perimeter line, right at the lower ridge, just below the perimeter line. So I'm just picking that up, turning my comb. And that's part of you knowing. Okay. You notice that hard line. I want to get rid of that. I'm going to take it up to the upper ridge, close to the apex line. And he grows really strong on this area. I'm going to have to use my texture shear to get rid of those little choppy, hard, horizontal lines that I'm seeing, and I'm sure you can see it on the video, that you can see those lines there. Eventually, we're going to take them up to that center apex and get rid of that. Now, look at this side that grows in the direction that we want it to. The other side grows back, so it's going to give us a hard time when we comb it forward. So I don't have to do all of that here. However, there you go. I created that hard line. So I'm going to bring it diagonally, bring it up, clean it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, he wants it longer at the frontal fringe. So now we're going to clean up the back because his cowlick is so strong. You can see his cowlick is pretty strong right here. You can definitely see a line there. I'm going to take it right up to the cowlick. And I'm about an inch away from the scalp. Okay, always mind that your client, when they're moving around, that you don't cut. So wait for them to stop moving, because then it will be your fault. There you go. Now see that blend? Now I'm taking them up to the center apex, and we will have a little bit of a hard line there, because we're cutting at what? We're cutting it front to back, and then we have a corner. When you see those right there, So he's coming in real nice. But we're definitely with this cut. Now see, somebody would just pick up a shear, wet him down, and try and fix it with that. You can't. It's best to cut it dry so you can see the natural fall. And it's also gives you a strong indication on how to use your tools. See, I have a corner here. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so we've done nothing, not very much with the frontal fringe area yet. We're going to leave that alone for a bit. So now I'm going to get my texture shear, and I'm going to turn him around so you can see what I'm doing. This side definitely grows forward, has a good forward growth. I want you to see it before. Okay, that's just, I've got wires down there. Okay, I hope you can see those little hard lines. And taking the texture shear, let it help you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with this thick of hair. Normally I do 1, 2, 3 and travel back. 3, 4, 5. There. It just filters it in, cleans it up, feeds it, and if you see anything that needs to be fixed, go in and fix it. Your texture shear is not necessarily cutting length off, but yes, it is getting rid of some hair. Now, can you texturize thin hair? Yes, you can. You're just not going to cut into it so much. Okay, now I've got a spot right here that I want to clean up. There you go. And now it looks like it's just all that fine hair going into its own space. There's no more hard lines. There's no more strong lines. Now we have a corner right at that center apex along by the center crown. So I'm going to turn him back around. I got a few little hard lines right here. Again, I'm going to have my arm in front of you for a minute because I want this to go back. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now see that pop up right there? We wanted to do what? We wanted to go down. So the teeth of the comb down. There you go. Combs down nicely. Right at that center vertex, right back here. And he's combing in real nice. Now with my regular barber shear, which is a little bit longer shear, and this is what I like about it, I'm still using my clipper comb. I'm going to take it straight up. And remember that corner that I was telling you about? There it is. Cut it front to back. When you cut it front to back, you don't see those lines coming across like you do when you cut it side to side. You get a little bit more volume, so it's best for fine hair. He doesn't need the volume because, like I said, he's got enough hair for 36 people. So he's not too concerned about that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this frontal area back. I'm going to pull it back to the center apex. And I'm going to take it across. It's going to create a hard line, but it's still going to be slightly layered in there. You see that? Now we ended up with a corner. Why is that corner? Because of this. It's geometry. Okay, I'm going to take off the corner. Comb it forward again. And what he said was he wanted it to his eyebrow. Let me blow dry that off for you. Sorry, you guys. I know I'm taking up the camera. You don't want your customer uncomfortable. And again, because he's got so much hair, we are going to also texturize that frontal area. But look at how nice that's combing in. This side that grows forward is cooperating. Now, here's something I want you to see. Do you notice how much of our cowlick, okay, I need you to look this way, cowlick has disappeared. Just by using the texture comb, the cowlick disappears. So do we still see it? Yeah, we still see it. That's real. It's there. But it was a much longer line. So it's been, we've taken care of it because of the direction that you take your texture shear. Now, one thing I want to do with him that we didn't do the last time, and I still see that standing up a bit right there. Let me just do it with a shear just a bit, slight angle. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna take it and again, pick it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And believe me, you would not do this with somebody with fine hair. But he's got enough hair for 536 people, so he's got great hair. I want to get rid of that little fullness right there. Now you noticed I'm doing 3 times now because I've gotten rid of what I want to get rid of. And now it's just kind of laying real nice for him. Now I'm going to take my blending shear. Do you want that corner taken off right there? Or is that okay for you to comb it back?
That's okay.
That's okay? All right. It gives it a nice look, I think. So we're going to take our T-blade, and now I'm going to pull this hair up. I want to clean this. Clean it squared or pointed? Pointed. He wants them pointed this time. All right. And then just kind of come into it a bit and come back around. All right, and I talked to you about, let me do the other side first. Again, see this side I don't need to pull hair out of the way because his part goes over in that direction. And again, you see that nice pointed sideburn there. Come up and clean that up. Now we're going to talk about the back a little bit. Shift your head forward, and we can create a really cool line right here. You see that hair grows to the center there. That hair grows up, so you go against the growth. Now I may wet him down in a minute, and then we're going to square it off here. He could come to a point, we could make it into a nice W. He's not that. He doesn't like to be, he's very shy. He's a nice young man. But he's very shy, so we don't push him on stuff. And that's where you have to be careful. You know, with your clients, when you see that they're shy, sometimes the parents want something, the kid doesn't. Your client may not want that. That's an uncomfortable thing for them. And many times stylers are put into awkward situations. So this is just a dry cut. We didn't do too much. I may texturize this because he's wanting it to go back on that part. He doesn't want that falling on his face. So, you know, and you talk to your clients. You know, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What do you want with it? Where did I put my texture shear? Oh, here it is. I'm in front of you again. I'm sorry. Okay. So what we want to do is, he's saying, you know, he doesn't want it to fall on his face. And you notice that it's longer here at that frontal fringe area. Apex, upper ridge, parietal line, lower ridge. All right. So what we're going to do, and we took everything back. Nothing was cut forward. But he says, I want this to go back. I don't want it to pop forward. And then we're going to come here. Again, the teeth are pointed back. Now watch. See how it doesn't fall on his face anymore? I'm shaking it, and it's just much nicer, much cleaner, nicer, softer, just a much better look. See how much better it lays back?
Yep.
Away from your face. And then sometimes, you know, he's getting older. You're a teenager yet?
In the next 2 months.
Okay, so pretty soon he's gonna be 13. So that, you know, with the hair on the face, you start talking to them a little bit about acne and stuff. So he's starting to get a little bit of acne up here, so it's a good idea for him to wear that hair back like that. So this is just a really nice look. You saw the before, now you see the after. You see the lines. And the biggest thing, you know, the one thing, if I had taken him shorter, now this is almost skin, this was with a 1.5. If I had taken him shorter, you'd see the indentations in there. And the mistake that's made, I see stylists cut to the lower ridge, and then I see these little dips of hair. That's when you pull it up. But know where that lower ridge is at, because you don't want to go above it. But those are indentations in the scalp. Those are indentations that a client naturally has. How much time do I have, cameraman?
No, tons.
Because you started it over or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I think we're going to be good. I think this, I mean, it's evidently right at about 30 minutes. Now here's another option that we could have done with him. We could have carved in his line. He doesn't really like that either, to carve that in. But with this thick of hair, we would have had to have gone just a lot shorter on this area here. But you can see that he lays nice, it looks good, and he's starting to, I need to take off just a little bit more right there from his, start to grow that hair for that sideburn and the beard in his future. So I'll take care of that. But anyways, just wanted to show you this cut. Know where you're at. Know how to hold your comb. Know what clipper blade. Watch what you're doing. Do not just cut to cut. These videos are not to impress you. These videos are to teach you. So, you know, I mean, I know our room is a bit of a mess, but that's the way it is. All right, I'm still on the tail end of getting my book published that talks about color. Like I told you before, as detailed as I am with haircuts, that's how detailed I am with color. So for you guys to get this is important. Learn how to cut, watch what you're doing, know where you're at, know where you're going. All right, take care. God bless. We'll see you again.